Welcome back to another episode of the Point After Podcast. Today, this is just the Stardom Sit-'em portion of it for the NFL Fantasy. This will be week 5. We're going to recap week 4 just a little at the beginning to give you guys an update on how we did last week. So last week we told you to start Aaron Rodgers. He finished with 29 points. Told you to start Joe Mixon. He finished with 42. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, they had a combined 27. Zach Ertz had 7, and then the Rams defense had 12. So far we're doing pretty good when it comes to our predictions for who you should play and who you shouldn't this week. Matt, how's it going, man?
Doing good, man. For those of you that are not aware, we're not able to watch a lot of NFL football Sunday due to one of our friends getting married, but we did do our jobs on catching up on the information and making sure we got everything down. So just wanted to let everybody know that from the beginning. But other than that, doing good, man.
Yeah, like he said, I think I got to watch the first half of games on Sunday, and then we both missed the second portion, and then I really didn't get to watch any of Sunday Night Football. I don't imagine you did either.
No, I did not.
Yeah, but like he said, we did our research. We got caught up. We know what we're talking about. Hopefully, well, I guess we'll see when it comes game time on Sunday. Today's Thursday, so the Buccaneers are about to play the Chicago Bears. So we're gonna get our fantasy picks out for you guys before those games start to give you an idea of who to go with. So starting off with the quarterback. I'll let you go first with your stardom because I've got 2 options. I don't want to go with the same person you do, so I'll let you go first on that one.
My stardom at quarterback this week is Teddy Bridgewater in Atlanta, and the reason for that is Atlanta has the worst secondary and probably the worst defense in the league in terms of fantasy points right now, giving up a minimum of 30 points a game and an average of 2 passing touchdowns. And last week, Teddy Bridgewater had a rushing touchdown, and I could see him, repeating that same statistical line this week, especially playing my Falcons. So, my starting this week at quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, Teddy was the second guy I had. I will say these 2 points. The Falcons are getting A.J. Terrell back, so that's a good sign for that secondary. But still horrendous, like you said. And I saw a mocked-up clip where Matt Rule told Teddy Bridgewater, he was like, I'm giving you one chance to do this on your own, kind of, and he ended up running for that touchdown. So I thought that was kind of weird, but kind of cool. But yeah, Teddy was one of my 2 options, and then my other guy is Kyler. Going up against the Jets, who have not looked great this season. Kyler he played like crap 2 weeks ago. I think he threw for 2 interceptions against the Lions, 2 or 3. Didn't look too good last week either. So I've got him this week. It's kind of a bounce back game for the Cardinals to kind of get them back on track. Like we'll cover in the podcast. I don't want to say they were overhyped, but I think they definitely got to get back to that groove they were in week 1 or week 2. So I'm going to go with Kyler Murray versus the New York Jets. And then my sit-'em this week, I've got Baker. Even though the Browns look dang good, and that's really a toss-up of a game. The Colts have the number, I think, 2 defense in the NFL, and I just see them giving Baker all kinds of problems. The Browns actually have the most forced turnovers this year, and I think the Colts are right behind them. So I could see them still giving Baker a lot of trouble on Sunday.
Yeah, I had Baker Mayfield as my sit-'em this week as well. Pretty much the same as you. If you play fantasy football, the Colts are top 2, top 3 team right now. So, and pretty much I agree with you. And we have not really talked about our stardom sit-'em this week. So I think us, both getting Baker Mayfield, we chose him as our sit-'em this week. I think that says a lot. Going forward, if you have him rostered. So, yeah, I agree with you. I'll sit him this week, Baker versus the Colts.
Yeah, the past 2 weeks we've actually talked a little bit about who we were going with, or we at least kind of knew who the other person was taking. So, and I mean, even our stardom, we both had Teddy down. So that kind of says something as well.
Yeah.
But moving on to the running back position, I've got someone that I think a lot of people wouldn't really expect, and Mark Ingram. He's not getting a lot of touches, and the Ravens looked slow against Kansas City. They came back last week and performed really well, but I think you need to sit Mark Ingram for at least the next couple of weeks because every week I think he had 10 carries in week 1, 8 carries week 2, 6 in week 3, and then 4 in week 4. Something along those lines. He's went down in carries every week. He's not getting the receptions. So it don't really matter if you're playing PPR or standard. He's just not getting the touches. J.K. Dobbins is young. He's fresh. They're utilizing him a lot. So I would keep Mark Ingram on the bench until his production starts to go up a little bit. You may miss 1 week where he goes off, but that'll kind of be a judgment for you to know, like, okay, well, he's finally getting touches again. I can put him back in my starting lineup.
Right.
You want to go your sit him, or you want me to go over my start him?
Oh, okay. Yeah. You did Mark Ingram? I had him down as well. So
okay.
I did write somebody else. I did have somebody else down. I have Darrell Henderson on a sit him this week. Redskins are, top 5 rushing defense, giving up an average of 12.8 points to running backs with fewer than 15 touches a game. So I got Darrell Henderson as a sit-em this week for me, and a start-em this week will be somebody who I have rostered in a couple leagues that has really let me down, but this week I think, could be a different story, and that's Kenyon Drake playing the Jets, and they are they're giving an average of 18 points to running backs with more than 12 touches. And the fewest touches that Drake has had in the game this year is 13, and that came with an injury last week, which I don't think is anything to be concerned about. But I'm waiting on that, 2-touchdown, 3-touchdown game from Drake, and I think, we could see it this week, and I hope we see it this week. But, yeah, he's definitely my starter. I know you had Kyler Murray, so looks like we're hopping again on the Cardinals train offensively. So...
Yeah, I took D-Hop in one league that me and you were in as my number 1 pick. So we're very high on that Cardinals offense.
Yep.
But yeah, I can agree with that. I would expect Kenyon Drake to have that outbreak game that he's kind of due for. But another guy that I think will have another big week is Damian Harris. He first game back last week against the Chiefs, puts up 100 yards on the ground on 17 carries. And with Sony Michel still out, he's him and Rex Burkhead, they're going to get a share of touches, but I still see Damian carrying the rock a good bit. I think he gets another 10 to 15 touches. I don't know if he'll get the 100 yards again, but I still think he's going to get enough touches that he's going to put up a decent amount of numbers. And they're going up against Denver too, so Denver's looks suspect all year. So.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into wide receivers, and I'll let you go first on this one, just in case we have the same guys again, which seems to be a common trend this week. But yeah, go with your start them or sit them wide receiver.
My sit them this week at receiver is Jets receiver Jamison Crowder, who has only played in 2 games, and he has had over 100 yards in both, 7 receptions, and combined 17-plus fantasy points. But this week, playing the Cardinals, who I think have, a pretty solid secondary. I see them struggling this week, the Jets, offensively. And I think they'll key in on somebody that has had, 100-plus yards in his only 2 games on the season. So I look for him to have, a less than average, thinking, maybe 9, 10 fantasy points. But he makes my sit-em list this week. And my start-em is... Which, I have Adam Thielen, and I also have Jerry Jeudy. And, Adam Thielen's probably started in most leagues. But I wrote him down because Seattle, they've been such on a hot streak that we kind of overshadow the part that, their secondary is 3rd to last in the league in terms of points given up. So, I wanted to make sure people know, like, hey, that's somebody you want to start. But I have Jerry Jeudy because last week he had 10 plus in his first touchdown in an NFL game, and New England is, normally they have a top defense and they do have a good secondary, but in terms of who you're going to throw the ball to, if you're Denver, a team that does not put up a lot of points, Jerry Jeudy has been targeted 15 times in the last 2 games, so he made my love list this week. I don't think he has a huge standout game, but I think he has enough to probably make a flex position.
Yeah, he'll get enough targets to warrant a starting lineup position for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, and I agree with that, especially with Stephon Gilmore out now. You're going to see a different look from the Patriots. I'm assuming they could have probably put Stephon Gilmore on Jeudy, essentially to just go one-on-one all game and then play man or play zone everywhere else. Because when Drew Lock is still out, the Broncos quarterback is still struggling. So you take away his favorite target, like you said, 15 targets over the last couple of weeks, then you're going to force him to go elsewhere. But with Gilmore out, then yeah, I see Jeudy getting a lot of targets too. I sit him this week. I'm going to stay with the Cardinals, and I'm going with Larry Fitzgerald. Probably the most underrated and disrespected wide receiver in the NFL, in my eyes. He has 3 catches for 4 yards on the season, and
wow.
I don't know if that's just a testament to D-Hop and his targets or Christian Kirk or whoever, but I mean he's playing a decent amount. Like when you watch him, he's still out on the field. He's just not getting targets.
Right.
Averaging 1.3 yards per catch. So for that reason, I would stick him on the bench. Kind of the same thing with Mark Ingram. Until his production goes up, I would stick him on the bench and keep him there until he has that one big game and his numbers consistently are 4 to 5 catches a week like they were last year. My stardom this week is, I don't want to mess this up, Brandon Ayuk. Is that how you say it? Wide receiver for the 49ers?
I know exactly. Is the rookie?
Yeah, the rookie. Yep.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. But in terms of pronouncing the last name, I'm going to say you have it right.
I hope so.
I'm not going to say you don't. So.
Yeah. But yeah, so they let go of Mohamed Sanu this week, a veteran wide receiver, because they're getting a bunch of receivers back like Deebo Samuel, and Ayuk is finding his way into the offense. And I'm hoping Jimmy G comes back. I got the 49ers winning, but that really is banking on Jimmy G playing. He practiced yesterday. I'm assuming he practiced today. Don't know for sure if he's back yet or going to start, but I'm assuming he would if healthy. And Ayuk is, it may have just been where he was a favorite target to Mullins, but I still think, once he finds his groove in the offense, Kyle Shanahan's going to get him the ball some way, somehow. And he's a speedster too, small, and can run. So even if it's in the rounds or reverses or whatever, he's going to find a way to get some touches.
Another thing to touch on too, talking about the 49ers, regardless, I feel like, of if Jimmy G is back or not, you got to look at too that Deebo Samuel and George Kittle are back, so they're going to be throwing the ball a lot more. And those guys, caliber of players that they are, they'll probably be shadowed for. I don't see them hopefully getting open. From a defensive standpoint.
Yeah.
But I think they'll air it out a lot more than normal, especially with a banged up backfield and Raheem Mostert. So I agree with you there. That's a solid pick.
Yeah, Mostert practiced yesterday too, so I don't imagine he'll come back this week, but possibly could see him next week. And I think they also have a bye coming up, I'm pretty sure. But all right, so we'll get into the tight ends, and for my sit-em, I'm sticking with another vet, and that's Greg Olsen. Found his way to the Seattle Seahawks, and when you have the weapons that the Seahawks have with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, with Chris Carson back finally. He did play last week, I'm pretty sure. I don't think he got banged up, so he should be good to go this week. So for that, Olsen's not getting the looks that he saw in Carolina or earlier in his career. And it kind of goes back to the same thing with Fitz and Mark Ingram. Just until you see his production go up, these are guys that you need to keep on the bench, because putting them in your starting lineup, they may have that one good game, but chances are, the way it's been the first 4 weeks, they're not going to get you winning numbers. So I would stick Olsen on the bench with Fitz and just keep him there until until his production levels go up, and especially against the Vikings, who could make a decent run at winning the game. Jamal Adams is out again, and the Seahawks struggled last week against Miami. They were playing across the country, but yeah, I'm gonna go with sitting Olsen this week.
My sit-on this week is Dan Schultz, tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. They're playing the Giants. Overall, just a weak team, down year for sure, especially after losing Saquon. But the reason I have him on my sit-em list is because he's recently had, solid weeks. Good fantasy numbers from the tight ends that we have, available this year. Not a lot of big tight end play unless it's, Travis Kelce or George Kittle or, But the reason I have him is because the Giants do not give up, or they have given up on average 8 points to tight ends, and that's on the season. So Dak Prescott, he's been on a tear. I will say that he's been throwing the ball really well, but I look for him in this game to be throwing it out to his outside. Sticking with Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, those guys, and of course you have Zeke at running back, so he'll get his fair share of touches. But he makes my sit-em this week, but definitely somebody to keep rostered.
Yeah, I can agree with that. So we'll hop on to stardom. Mark Andrews. He's averaging 13.2 yards per catch this season. And that's, 13.2 average this season. I had that wrote down wrong. So if you're looking for a solid tight end who's going to get you a lot of points week in, week out, Mark Andrews is the guy. He's a favorite target for Lamar Jackson over the past 2 years. I want to say he scored a touchdown in every game this season. If not, he's close. But, regardless, even if you take away that touchdown, he's still giving you seven points a game, and that's pretty solid from the tight end perspective. Last week, we told you to go with Zach Ertz. He got you 7 points. I think your tight end was Jared Cook, and he got 6. So he's double your average tight end of what you're going to get. So yeah, I've got Mark Andrews versus the Cincinnati Bengals, and I've also got Cameron Brate from the Buccaneers, just because O.J. Howard's out for the year now. I think Cameron Brate, he had a catch or two last week, so you're going to get him in a more predominant role as the season goes on.
He was a solid player last year too. I know different quarterback, but he was definitely week to week. You might could play him this week, might could play him, sit him the next. But I agree that's a good one. My stardom this week is Hunter Henry and Monday night action against the Saints. First 3 weeks, he put up 12, to 14 fantasy points. He usually sees about 8 targets a game, 5-6 receptions. Last week against Tampa Bay had a down week, but losing Austin Eckler as the Chargers did, and the Saints, you look at I think Darren Waller week 2, that's when he had that big 12, 13 reception game against the Saints. And then Robert Tonyan, who we will speak on later, had a touchdown and I think like 14, 15 fantasy points, somewhere in there, against the Saints a couple weeks ago as well. So Hunter Henry makes my love list this week because of recent points that the Saints give up to tight ends. So.
Yeah, Saints defense has been struggling all year. But yeah, I like that pick too, especially with Justin Herbert being officially named the starting quarterback for the Chargers here on out. I kind of feel bad for him in a way because he was thrown in there, I wouldn't say too early, but before they planned on him being the starting quarterback. But he's performed well, and Hunter Henry's been a top target for him. And Hunter Henry's a underrated tight end too. I can make the case for him being a top 5 tight end in the league. But we'll get to the opposite side of the ball and go with the defense. Who are you got at the stardom for defense?
My stardom this week is the 49ers against Miami. And, last year if we were having this conversation, the 49ers wouldn't even be talked about. Of course they're going to be starting top 3, top 4 defense. But this year, they've had their struggles losing whoever. And, Miami is not, they played Seattle a great game last week, but still gave up a turnover or 2. I think they force turnovers, especially playing at home, 49ers. I think they can force a couple turnovers. Having some offensive power back, I think that keeps the momentum for the team throughout the game. So I like them this week. If you've got 49ers to start them against the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm going to stay out west with another California team, and I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams against the Washington football team. For those of you that don't know, Dwayne Haskins was benched this week. Kyle Allen's going to start, and last time we saw Kyle Allen, he was mediocre at best, I think would be the word. And I don't know necessarily that he is ready to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Me personally, I probably would have went with Alex Smith if he's healthy like everyone says he is. I can't wait to see him back, by the way, and actually playing.
Right.
But nonetheless, the Rams defense against Kyle Allen, I just think with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey and everybody they have on that side of the ball, it's gonna be rough for Kyle Allen to put up any points. And when if you focus on the run game, make Kyle Allen throw it. Kyle Allen's not going to beat you, and that may come back to haunt me. But Kyle Allen's not going to beat the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday, so I'm going to go with starting them. And then my sit-em is going to be the Browns defense against the Colts. Mo Alley Cox has been balling. Phillip Rivers is a winning quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback. Browns have looked good all year, but to me, I don't think they're going to play that well against the Colts. They're going to give up a lot of yards. They're going to give up points. They may get a turnover or two, but I think at the end of the day, they're not going to give you 8, 10, 12 points in fantasy. They're probably going to get you around the 3 or 4 range. So for that reason, I'm going to go with sitting the Cleveland Browns defense.
My sitting this week is, another team that traditionally is a really good defensive team and probably still will be for the remainder of the year. But my sim this week is Buffalo Bills at Tennessee. Tennessee is, they haven't looked good, and I know their defense has not looked good at all, but they have been putting up points. I think this will be one of those high 20 games, low 30s. So I look for them to score a lot of points, put up a lot of yards on the Bills, who, offensively have been one of the hottest teams in the league. But they also have given up their fair share of yardage. So I like the Titans putting up numbers against the Buffalo Bills. Do I think they win? No, I do not. But I don't think that the Bills' defense performance will be something you want to have rostered this week. So.
Yeah, I can agree with that 100%. Especially with everything going on with Tennessee with 23, 24 positive COVID tests. It's kind of hard to say what you're going to get out of Tennessee this week. But yeah, I agree. I still think Tennessee's going to put up some points. As long as they have Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry, then they're gonna be a factor, and they're gonna put up yards against whatever offense they're playing, whatever defense they're going against.
I believe AJ Brown's this week as well too.
Yeah,
I think this may be the second week. If you count the first week when he got injured, but he didn't play long at all. He's back this week, so that adds another weapon. Yeah,
I just hope we actually get to see that game. Even if it's moved to Monday or Tuesday, but I hope that game gets played. So, but yeah, well that kind of wraps it up for Stardom Ceiling this week. You got anybody else you want to throw out there to keep an eye on?
I'll tell you who I think has the best week this week, just in terms of offensive performance. I think Chiefs running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Surely if you have him in the league, he's starting, but if for some reason he's not, make sure he is this week. The Raiders, they give up their fair share of points to running backs, and we all know the Chiefs like to throw the ball, so if they can't, they're going to go with option number 2. So I think he's going to be he's my prediction star standout this week in terms of points.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think that's something that we try to do here is we don't go on the obvious picks like DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, Aaron Rodgers, just because those are obvious. Like if you have them, you're going to start them. So we try to give you the insight to the guys you might not know about. But yeah, I agree with old Clyde. I think he, if for some reason he's in your lineup and not starting, you've got bigger problems. But yes,
you're playing in a really good league.
Yeah, that's also true. But yeah, so that's going to wrap it up for Stardom Sit-em for Week 5 of the NFL. This video will go out either tonight or Friday morning. So it'll be Thursday night or Friday morning whenever you see it. If you have any questions about who you should start in your lineup, feel free to send it to us on Twitter. We've helped 3 or 4 guys out so far, And I've had a couple guys tell me that we did them a great deed. One guy ended up winning because of the person that we told them to start. So
Awesome.
if you use any of this, let us know as well, as a testimonial type of deal, just to help us out and help us grow a little bit. But yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to go record the college podcast that you'll see tonight as well, and then the NFL podcast that will be out Friday afternoon. So we're seeing this tonight. Look out for the college podcast if that interests you. If it doesn't and you're strictly here for NFL, then you can catch that tomorrow afternoon. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, follow us on all social media, and we'll see you guys later.